Hi guys, so I'm down here in Roatan and it is like 9:03 p.m. and I'm actually quite tired, as you can probably tell from my face. But I'm just doing some closing out stuff for the day. I like to do journal entries and stuff like that. Not like a journal actually, it's more just like, um, it's like things that I like to call that help me raise my energy frequency. So 3 things at least that I'm proud of myself for accomplishing that day, 3 things that I'm grateful for in that moment, and 3 things that I appreciate in other people. And then I sometimes close out with like a gratitude for the future present, which essentially means like I'm so grateful now that, whatever goal that you're working to achieve. So when I was raising the capital for this project, I was like, I'm so grateful now that I have all the money funded and it's in my bank account, and if you put emotion, behind that and you can envision it, then that's some really powerful stuff. So I write it. Writing helps me, but actually the best thing I think you can do is like meditate on it and envision it, which I will say I haven't done a very good job at that. So, but I'm doing this video because I always every night send Ben, since I'm down here alone, like in this house by myself and doing this project by myself, which is totally cool. It's a really good growth opportunity, but it gets a little lonely at nighttime. So I have been occupying my time. Oh, and the other thing too is that at nighttime, my brain just starts thinking, and I just want to express and talk through whatever I'm thinking. And so Ben is the lucky receiver of that, but he was receiving it actually. So prior to this video, I was sending Ben like these long voice messages on like WhatsApp. That's how we communicate. And he would wake up and he'd have like 30 minutes of voice messages. I don't know what like the longest one that he's received yet is, but so actually last night I was thinking, yeah, I know he likes to listen to them, but 30 minutes is a lot. So when I'm doing all the social media stuff, actually I figure it's a really good way. Also, the other thing is too, like he doesn't always respond, and then I feel like my message wasn't heard. So what I was thinking was a like benefit of both. Oh, and also backtracking again, Ben doesn't really like to, like when we're physically in person, his brain's off, at this point in time of the day. And so he doesn't really like to sit there and listen to me talk about all these things, which is totally fine. He likes to do his thing and I have my thing, which is primarily just talking about all this nonsense that's happening in my brain, or these realizations that I'm having, or blah blah blah, and the list goes on, and you're probably gonna get to experience it. So last night I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a huge win-win to, instead of having these conversations with him at night when he's like watching his shows, or instead of sending him 30-minute voice messages on WhatsApp, because also honestly my finger hurts after a while having to hold the button down. I don't know if you've ever done a WhatsApp message, but it's a joke. But yeah, I was like, oh, this could be great content for social media, and probably generate some cool conversations with people. This is like raw content. This is like whatever is coming out of my mouth, it's coming out, and let's hope that, this is me. There's no mask. So but yeah, so what I was just doing actually is I was actually sitting down to do my journaling, the 3 things I'm proud of myself for today, gratitude and appreciation. And actually I have this here. I do write in cursive. It's my thing. So this is a mission statement that I made at Tony Robbins Date with Destiny December, which essentially it's like he puts you in like this really good meditative state. You've broken through some of your patterns. I don't know if anyone here has gone to Tony Robbins, but it's really great. The events are really fantastic. They're very high energy, and they're fun. And you get like a lot of like, you know, brain blocks. You get through a lot of them. So he basically led us through this really nice meditation, and then had you write down what you envisioned in the meditation for your life's, like your mission statement, like what is your purpose of life? And so I was reading through it, and then I was like realizing like, okay, this is the purpose of my life. And like, you know, tonight specifically, I just got the first quote from one of the contractors down here. And it was like way overpriced. And I just had like a little bit of stress inside me, and I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, because obviously I wasn't giving myself the time to just sit there and ask myself what it was. So yeah, reading this was super helpful. So I think I'll read the beginning part to share with you, and then I'll stop at the part that I stopped at, and then talk a little bit more. So I'm just gonna read what this says. This is like stuff that I wrote when I was like in this meditative peak state, and this is my life mission, and this is why I'm on this planet and all this stuff. So this is the raw content right here, raw. So the essence or purpose of my life is to live my inner self. We play, we soar, we laugh and giggle and dance and make weird noises. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Life is an adventure to be enjoyed through love, excitement, and presence. So that's where I stopped. And just so reference, it's like right here on the page. So not too far in. And I stopped there because I was like, okay, life is an adventure to be enjoyed through love, excitement, and presence. And as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna reflect, I'm gonna see where is my distress, right? Because I couldn't figure it out. I didn't want to like sit in my feelings, of course. I wanted to run away from them. And so, okay, this is the one that was calling to me, where I was like, okay, life's an adventure. Yes, I definitely feel like I'm living an adventure. I'm down here in Roatan, and I'm by myself, and I'm just doing a project, you know? This fourplex that this whole thing. It's pretty amazing, and definitely new. This is not normal for me. I did do a development down here last year, partnered with someone, and that was, I guess also, I gotta give myself a little bit more credit for that as well. This one, I feel like the saying, taking a bull by the horns, because I'm doing it myself, which is amazing, and I raised all the capital, and it was a big hurdle, and all these things. So I'm excited about it. It's definitely an adventure, 100%. That line is so on point. And it's adventure to be enjoyed through love, excitement, and presence. Okay. So for this one, I was like, okay, love, excitement, and presence. I had those three qualities when I met with the contractor earlier today, when he gave me the quote. I was like, okay. I like told him about yoga, and I was like, oh my God, I have this acupuncture person coming today. I'll give you their contact if you want. Like, you know, I did my prayer hands. I was giddy and excited and happy and all this stuff. So those existed, but in this present moment, well, not right now because I did the work already. But when I was reading it, I was like, okay, well, love. Okay, I love myself. I'm on this adventure to experience love within myself at a deeper level, because there's no other humans here for me to love. Oh, that's a lie. I love obviously all the other humans that are around, but for instance, my boyfriend, or, you know, the people that I live with on a daily basis, or my family, you know, none of them are here. So it's just me. I'm loving myself intimately while I'm down here, and I think it's actually a really good practice. So I was like, okay, I love myself. All right. Yes, I'm excited to do this project. Yes, yes, yes. And then presence, I was like, okay, I'm present to myself. I'm like, okay, well, what am I feeling right now? Because that's when you really know you're being present to yourself, is like feeling yourself, right? And so what I actually did in this moment, my hand's like starting to hurt. What I actually did in this moment to like actually get to my presence, I did this self-development program in August of last year called the Hoffman Process. And if you don't know, I would definitely take a look at it. It was a really amazing program. It did a lot for me, and still, I think it just has changed my whole life. So you can look it up, called the Hoffman Institute or whatever. But it's like a 7-day retreat, and it's kind of like diving into your like your inner child. It's like inner child work. And you'll get to identify your patterns, and you relate it back to, your childhood, and then you can kind of like build love and compassion for your parents, and then also build it for yourself. And it's a really amazing thing. Yeah, it's really changed a lot of things for me, especially in terms of how I view the world. So now I know, like, it's not the other person, it's always me, it's always something that's inside me. I think it's Jen Sincero in like the book The Badass, like You're a Badass. She says, so this is me just paraphrasing, but she says something like, the things that you are like triggered by in other people, or the things that that you're annoyed at in other people, is really just the projection. So it's like really just, it's a mirror reflecting back at you for what you're annoyed or what bothers you within yourself. I think she used the word bothers and not annoyed. Yeah, so what bothers you in someone else is really just what is bothering you within yourself. Something like that. And it's so true. And you'll see, like, in the weirdest ways, you're like, no, this person, like, why? There's nothing that this person, like, that I have that this person has or whatever. But then if you sit there long enough, you'll find it. And you're like, oh, damn, that's true. But so, yeah, I went to this Hoffman process. See, this is exactly why my voice notes to Ben take 30 minutes, because I just go on these little, I get side swiped. So yeah, I went to the Hoffman process, and they teach you about this thing called the quadrinity. So their theory is that there are 4 parts to yourself. So you have like your spiritual self, you have your intellect, you have your emotional self, and you have your body. And really, this is nothing. This is just how I think about it. And my intellect is like my right side of my head, my emotions, my left side of the head. I don't know what that is. And then spirit's like I'm looking up, and body is more kind of like, okay, this is my physical body. So, but yeah, so then I was like, okay, presence. And I was like, all right, like, let's do the exercise. They have these things called quad checks, which is when you check in with each one of your quadrinities. So it's like, okay, intellect, like, and you can like talk to them too. It's kind of actually helpful. See, now I'm getting into the woo stuff. I'm like, okay, intellect, like, what are you feeling about this quote? Because it's all related to the quote. And then my intellect just all of a sudden, like, is just yelling, like, I don't understand this quote. This doesn't make any sense. Why would he do this? This is like, some swear words and things like that. And he was just like enraged. It's like, this is not right, this isn't fair, And so I'm like, okay, intellect, I understand you're frustrated. And then I just kind of reasoned with him a little bit. And my intellect, for some reason, it's a man sometimes, and then it switches to a woman. Who knows? Yeah, we're getting real deep. So yeah, I'm like talking to my intellect. I'm like, okay, intellect, it's okay. Like, the quote doesn't have to make sense. This is just a number on a piece of paper. Just trying to like reason with him a little bit. Let him know it's okay to be frustrated. His rage is in a an understandable position. But then also I was talking to him about like, you know, loss of negotiation. You always start higher and all this stuff. And like, you know, he has a big business. He does have overhead, which definitely is not needed for at this price point. This is like overhead times 100% probably or something like that. But yeah, I was just really just trying to reason with my intellect, and then all of a sudden I calmed my intellect down. He felt heard. You know, I think that's the thing. It's like once the parts of yourself feel heard, they're able to like cool down. So intellect cooled down, you know, and then I was like, good job, intellect. You're doing so good. I appreciate you for always looking out, for being analytical, for, you know, being detail oriented, wherever it might be that your intellect is good at. And so intellect felt loved, he felt appreciated. So then I moved on to my emotional self. And I don't even remember what my emotional self was feeling. It's because like you're kind of in a meditative state when you do this. So my emotional self was hard to figure out what they were feeling. I think probably because my intellect was so overpowering. But my emotional self was actually just disappointed. Disappointed that the quote came in higher than expected. And this is also just labor. So this doesn't even include like tile material of any sort. We're going to replace the fans. It doesn't include fans. It doesn't include sinks or faucets or any of that. It does include the cabinets. I think the majority of the budget, honestly, that he quoted is like the wood, and I think he just threw it all in the quote so that he could like hide his exorbitant labor costs. But we're getting another. I requested to get it all separated so I can figure it out. But anywho, so yeah, I was asking my emotional self how they're feeling, and my emotional self's like disappointed, and then it was worried. It took a while to get the worry part out. So I was worried, and then fear came in. So that's like a big pattern that I see within myself, which I think is pretty typical. Fear, frustration and anger often covers up underlying emotions of, you know, sad or worry or fear, which is quite interesting. It's the intellect's way of trying to protect the emotional self, which is kind of nice if you think about it. So yeah, when I realized this, I felt like, okay, that makes sense. And then it was just so easy to ration with myself after that, because I already know that the one contractor that I wanted to use from the beginning is going to give me the quote that I want. So all this worrying and my intellect having a temper tantrum in my brain and my emotional self getting like worried for no reason really doesn't need to exist at all. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So that's a little bit of the Hoffman process and kind of what I learned, and now how I'm using it in my daily life. But yeah, when I did that, I immediately felt significantly better. And then, you know, I was kind of rereading this through again in this new sense of light, you know. And then I stopped at that statement again, the same exact sentence. So life is an adventure to be enjoyed through love, excitement, and presence. I'm like, okay, my new state and this new self that I just created in a matter of 5 minutes, just by changing a couple things in my brain and like identifying and making each part feel heard and all that stuff. I was like, love can I have love to this contractor? I was like thinking about it, and I was like, eventually my heart opened up, you know? And it's like, you just gotta let it go, you know? I can still give him love, right? I can respect his quote, even though I was like frustrated 5 minutes ago. I can let it go, right? And love this man, respect him. He probably does amazing work. He actually did the work for the project. That's how I found my interior designer. And so obviously it was good work because I wanted to work with the person who designed it. So I know he does good work and he has a team and all this stuff. So, you know, if that's what he thinks his work is valued at, great. You know, maybe he's also just doing the approach where he puts a bid higher and will work down. Instead of getting frustrated, what's really useful is to turn my lack of understanding into curiosity instead of frustration. And so that's a huge pattern for me. Frustration is something that I learned, and, you know, I think many of us learn that in society. Having curiosity is a huge value add to your persona, because I can just go to this contractor, sit down with him, and be like, look, I ran these numbers and I'm just, you know, out of love, make sure I meditate and give him love first, because programs are deep. So, yeah, just sit down with him. He's a very nice guy. I'll just like be real with him. Like, excuse me, sir, your demo costs more than it costs to demo a property in the United States, in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is an expensive market. So I just want to understand where you're getting these numbers from, because I know labor down here is like, you know, the average individual is probably making $2 an hour down here. Not to say that that's what I want to pay the contractors that are doing the work. I just do want to get market value for the price. So yeah, it's just a lot of interesting little intricacies, but I can show up to have this conversation with the contractor in a state of love and curiosity and just work through it. And it's like, great if we work together, if he can bring his price down to what I need. It's also great if we don't. You know, he might have more clients. You know, he might be upcharging a price because he's too busy to take on another project, which is also totally fine. I'm just curious, and I'd like to know. And I'd like to give him also the opportunity to say, you know, what's up, bro? You know? But yeah, so this is a little glimpse. We're at like 22 minutes. So this is a little glimpse of what you might receive every now and again. In the evenings, especially while I'm down here, because I like to have all these little realizations and stuff. But maybe I'll leave reading this whole thing for you. Well, you know, we already got this far through. I might as well just read the whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to start from the top and I'll read down the whole thing. Okay, ready? So, the essence or purpose of my life is to live my inner self. We play, we soar, we laugh and giggle and dance and make weird noises. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Life is an adventure to be enjoyed through love, excitement, and presence. Fear and worry don't exist. Those two items I was just talking about. It's all new and exciting. Life is light. We are here to experience all the beauties of this earth and the wonderful gift we've been given. In this light, there is no right or wrong decisions of where to land. You can soar close to the ocean top, or fly high to the sun, or to the tallest mountain. No matter where you go, you are loved and you are blessed by something far greater than yourself. As long as your mission is met, there cannot be a fear of darkness. And our duty is to enjoy each and every day and experience on this earth, for it is our divine gift in this life. I commit to love and be present to the experiences within my body on this earth, and to not get caught up in the experiences of others. I'm responsible for myself is what Hoffman taught me, however, an adjustment. I owe it to my essence to enjoy and love and experience every waking moment that I have on this earth. Outside of that, nothing else matters, and my path will be guided by light and love. For now, I can do an experience and feel how I am in my current life. If the experience makes me feel good, then I will pursue. If they don't make me feel it the way it does when I'm flying, then I won't do it any longer. As simple as that. So that's my mission statement. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you got something out of it. And I'm not sure if all of them will be like this. Some will be like mind blocks that I have. Other stuff is just me like blabbing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I have a good night. Bye bye.